Today we will discuss how you can create an impactful resume, especially for finance roles, which will give you a high chance of getting the interview call and then eventually help you get hired. Whether you are a fresher, mid-level professional or aiming for senior roles, this video will help you craft a resume that stands out from the pile. We will discuss a lot of do's and don'ts from the recruiter's perspective. But before we start, you would ask, why should we listen to you? Well, see, I have personally reviewed over 2000 resumes in my career as a hiring manager. Though the focus of this video will be on resume for various finance profile, I have also recruited graphic designers and video editors as well. Fun fact, once for a role of content writers for my team, I was looking to hire two junior folks, for which I ended up getting 600 resumes. Now, interestingly, I went through all of them to finally give almost 20 people a chance to get interviewed. For this activity, I spent almost 8 hours across 3 days. So you see, not even a minute for one resume. What does that mean? That your resume needs to grab attention very quickly. Otherwise, it's gone. So let's break down how to craft one that works for you. But having said that, towards the end of the video, I'll also share the entire reason, the process, how I scanned through the 600 resumes in 8 hours, and what was my selection criteria of getting those 20 people shortlisted, and finally those two people eventually who joined my team. So stay tuned till the last. So before we begin, we should see that a resume has three key roles to play. The first is to get you the shortlist and you move on to the interview round. Once that's done, the next role is to drive the interview in your favor. So while the first step is more of marketing yourself on a page, the second is to select points and words, etc., which makes interviewer traverse in the direction you want him to. That means play on your strengths. A good resume will make the interviewer focus on points you want him or her to focus on. And then a good beginning is, as we say, is half the battle won. Most of the managers, make their decisions to accept or reject a candidate in less than first 5 minutes. So the first 5 minutes is so crucial. Then eventually the third is that your points should intrigue the interviewer to know more about you. Make him curious. Something like, oh my God, how did he do that? He would think, I'm sure he's bluffing. So let's grill him more. And if you correctly able to answer his questions, you have intrigued him enough and then you can come out successful. Although he has made the decision in first 5 minutes, if your interview goes longer, means interviewer is already interested. So you have a higher chance. Now let us look at something called the ATS, the ATS reality. ATS is nothing but it's called applicant, don't mind my writing, applicant tracking system. So it's a software where the resumes are put by the HR and kind of some filters and etc. are put, and it will throw out some resumes which actually adhere to those filters. Now those filters, those filters may be educational background, work experience, etc., but also having relevant keywords. So you can't do much about your educational background or work experience because that's history and that's fact. But surely you can have keywords, right keywords. What does it mean for you? Using relevant keywords. Now, what you should ideally do is pick from the JD where they mention responsibilities. For example, if they say looking for someone with risk analysis, valuation, and financial modeling skills, make sure that you add them in your resume, those keywords, somewhere in the sentences or bullet points. Also, it is very important to keep your format simple. No fancy designs, tables, images, etc. If your resume isn't software friendly, it might never reach a human recruiter because maybe the ATS software can't even read an image, which is reality and which is very common. Now, moving on, some essentials that your resume should definitely have. Firstly, please keep your resume strictly to one page. Until and unless it's for a very senior role that you can't do it in one page, it's okay to move into the second. But for, mid-level junior roles, one page is very important. As we have already seen, recruiters might not even have time to go through one page properly. Do you think they'll scroll down to the second page? Next, keep your resume in PDF format. I've seen a lot of people sending me resumes in doc format. I get irritated because PDF is faster. It can open on mobile as well. And the formatting also stays intact in PDF. But in Word doc, formatting can go for a toss. Word, the Microsoft Office might take a little time to open, to load, and all those things are there. So I generally, avoid opening Word doc CVs. Achha, you should always add your LinkedIn profile along with your contact number and email address. These days, many recruiters like me scan through your LinkedIn profile as it gives much more to know about you than a one pager. Of course, they'll do only when they like your resume already, but whenever they need to be more sure or as a tiebreaker, they may see your social media activities. Like for my content writing roles, which includes writing research reports, equity research roles, this can be very important if you have been sharing your work on LinkedIn. Like websites like Medium or Substack is also great, but not everybody writes that detailed or writes there. And those platforms have limited use case over LinkedIn as well. Next, education. See, you can't be much creative here, but it should be very clean to read as this is very important. It should be clearly visible depending upon the role you have. If you are into a very senior role, maybe education qualifications don't matter that much. It can go towards the bottom. Work experience might come at the top. But if you are a fresher or 2 to 3 years into experience, education qualification should be there right on the top or somewhere, kind of in the first half. Now, work experience. Write bullet points and not paragraphs over here. I've seen a lot of people writing 2, 3 paragraphs. Doesn't work. I don't have time to read paragraphs. And mind you, although you will write your responsibilities, but do highlight the impact that you have brought. And as far as possible, use numbers. Numbers actually come out very significantly and grabs the attention quickly. Now, for example, writing managed client portfolios and analyze them is not as good as managed 100 plus client portfolios with rupees 500 crore AUM, acquired 70 out of these 100 clients by myself. This is very important. It will immediately catch the eyes of the recruiter. And for a wealth management role, you may definitely, you will be getting at least an interview call. Until and unless in the other points you have totally screwed up. And finally, skills. Skills is all about keywords. Just, ensure that keywords are included in the skills. If you have done any sort of project work or case studies, you can add them on Google Drive and share the link with a 2-line summary. See, if the recruiter is interested, no, he may want to go and check your work. Always a good idea. And if you're a fresher, mention extracurricular activities, internship, etc. But this is not much needed as you go to more mid and senior kind of a role. Now, LinkedIn advantage. See, I mentioned about LinkedIn a while back. I have separately taken a lot of session on personal branding through LinkedIn. These days, HRs generally check LinkedIn for more details. I check as a recruiting manager, but even HRs check for, even if they are using ATS and all those things, LinkedIn has become very important for understanding the candidate overall. So you need to keep your LinkedIn updated with projects, recommendations, etc. Now, a lot of people ask me if it makes sense to add their photo on the resume. See, it really helps you put your face to name. Then when you meet the interviewer, either virtually or physically, he or she already knows you or recollects having seen the face. Just gives a little familiarity to start. However, it generally doesn't matter also. But what may go wrong is to put a picture which is not formal or professional. And I'm talking about the finance profiles. Don't put a Goa beach or a party or a casually dressed photo in there. Not putting the picture is fine, but please not this. Next thing is profile summary. I've seen a lot of resume with a 5-6 line brief or a summary about the candidate. And 99% of the time that is very generic, like Chat GPT copied. It's a space waste completely. I don't have the time and focus to read 5 sentences, boss. I'll skip that section and go downwards. And you have successfully wasted a precious real estate. I've seen many resume consultants and even AI bots or resume templates to suggest putting it. But do it only if you have a really something very unique to write. Else completely skip it. Also, many people I've seen writing date of birth, marital status, nationality, parents' name, etc. But that's not needed at all. See, if I need to know your age, I can figure it out from your work experience. And for marital status, if someone really needs to see that, it's a red flag to join that company. I don't care whether you are married or unmarried. It's okay. Don't put in there. Nationality, I am assuming that everybody here who is applying to this role is an Indian. If you're not an Indian, then you need to explicitly mention about it in the starting of your resume. Otherwise, it's a by default that you are an Indian. And parents' name, what do I do about that? I mean, why are you writing your parents' name or something? It's okay. I mean, if you are thinking that if your parent, I mean, no offense, but is a big shot, then obviously you don't need to put in your resume. I mean, you can go get a job directly anyways. So all these 4 pointers are completely waste for me. All the demographics are completely waste. Now let's go to formatting and design. See, don't try to be creative or fancy, honestly. Pick a template from any website. These days, there are a lot of them, like resume.io. We'll see it towards the end. I'll show you opening the website. See, I've never actually went through it. So with you, I'll select some templates which might, kind of suit them. And I'm not promoting them, and but I've heard people using it. So pick a template that is pleasing to the eyes and simple and structured it should be. Use easy fonts like Arial, Calibri, etc., not like Comic Sans. Use only black color font and use maximum three font sizes apart from the top headline section. Two is best, but three is okay, but please don't do four. And a template with left column or pane, you'll see in resume.ia to write some highlights over there like skills, etc., work better, as hiring manager has actually divided his attention now to less or shorter sentences, and he or she can go in a better structured way, kind of compartmentalizing information in his or her brain. And of course, as I said, covered previously, no fancy graphics, as ATS might not even kind of read them. Now, some common mistakes to avoid. First of all, don't use long paragraphs. I've already told you. Use bullet points, ideally only one line. Try it doesn't run in second line. And if it does run in second line, ensure it only ends at half so that there is white space remaining, half pleasing to the eyes. Now, don't cram the resume also. Now that I am saying only one page doesn't mean that you just crowd it with lot of text. You need to keep your resume a little balanced and light. How to choose the right words is a task. I mean, see, don't take resume building like in a 30-minute job. You are selling yourself. You have to be very, very particular. You need to take a lot of time in order to build your resume. It's not that simple, guys. Grammar and spelling mistake are clearly a big no-no. If I find one, I reject the resume straight away. I feel someone who couldn't even get time to review his or make or break one pager, when now so many online tools exist, then how can we this be so serious about the job? And very, very important, don't send your resume to non-relevant jobs. Imagine out of those 600 resumes, I got few tech or operations related as well. So they are people who will just throw darts in the dark. Good if it hits, no problem if it doesn't. But it doesn't work like that. Imagine for a large company like where I was, there are multiple roles existing. Then obviously only apply one that might suit you. What if sending to a non-relevant one gets you blacklisted? I mean, I would probably put in a point over there that for a content profile, if you're sending me a, let's assume, full stack developer resume, and this is reality, I get so pissed off that I am anyways spending so much of extra time on this, and then you're sending me this, I'll just straight away put a blacklist over, kind of tag over there. Then that candidate can never, kind of his resume will never come up to even the relevant profiles. So you will pour water on your future chances. Don't do that, please. Now, a lot of people ask me whether it's okay to use AI tools to optimize the resume. I definitely do, but not blindly. You can use ChatGPT to get your sentences framed or refined. During my time, we had to do all those sentence structuring by ourselves. You have AI, use them to save time and increase your efficiency, but just don't use blindly. Know what you are finally copy pasting, as each word you can be scrutinized on in the final interview. Interestingly, once I got a resume with some complex words in achievements, which I understood he might not have achieved because itna to pata hai after so long career. I deliberately selected him to speak with him to know the reality. He admitted eventually that he doesn't know what that meant. So one way you can say it helped him getting the call, but what after that? Embarrassment, likely blacklisted. So don't take shortcuts. Then finally, some pro tips to making your resume stand out. Basically, see, for freshers, it's good to keep it short. Every recruiter, I mean, a lot of recruiters, even recruiter isn't expecting you to win a Nobel Prize being a fresher. No, it's okay if resume looks blank, but let it be truthful. What you can add are your projects, case studies, reports, extracurricular work, internships. And boss, honestly, if you don't have any of these, better work on getting these, resume or no resume. For the mid-level roles, do highlight execution capabilities. Or if you have managed a team, you can include some numbers and figures in impact areas. That will be very helpful. And honestly, for senior roles, no, add strategic contributions in business impact. But for senior roles these days, more than the resume, their network is very important. So build network if you are applying for, if you're already in the industry for so many years and applying for a senior kind of role. See, resume though is a formal document and a necessity in a lot of companies to start the process at least. The references and network really help. Now let's come and look at resume.io. So I've already logged in. I was just trying before this video. So I've already logged in through my LinkedIn profile and I just click on create my resume. See, I'll just show you the good templates which probably I will like. This is a good template, Christopher Gunn, because what I can see is apart from the profile thing, which I've already told that I don't look. See, a lot of these will give you profile. And as I said, if you trust me, profile doesn't really matter until unless it is some out of the world kind of a thing. They have put photos in some and not in some. And as I said, it's optional for you. Straight away, I can, kind of see employment history because obviously he has been employed for over what 10 years, if 6 years, whatever. And then educational qualifications comes towards the end. This is also a good layout. This is a good layout, but it's a little bit dry, but it's okay. If you're a fresher, education goes up. This is good. This is a good color and it's aesthetic as well. I mean, I can see the skills towards the left side. And so I can, as I said, I can compartmentalize my brain into, okay, skill set either separate dekhta hu, and then I can look at the employment history, education, references. It's good to add references, but it's okay. I mean, if you have some, anyways, a lot of companies eventually will ask you for references separately. So putting it in, eventually you need to complete your resume in one page. If you are getting space, do add them. If it is just cramming up, don't put in. This resume for finance, I won't like. It is taking too much of space just to put a photo and, kind of just the header. This again is a very replica of this, but in a kind of 180-degree opposite way. But this is also good. Don't use these kind of colors. It's a very irritating thing to look at these colorful resumes. Similarly, this doesn't work. This is good, very simple. You would have understood that as a recruiter, I love simple things, right? This is a complete no. Not even for designers, I would be okay with this kind of a resume. So, guys, eventually you would have got an idea as to kind of what do I want. Now, what I'll share is that I'll give you a little bit of highlight as to when I was looking into those 600 resumes. How did I manage to scan in 8 hours? What was I looking for? Why was I rejecting a lot of them? So now let's move on to that. But to my surprise, I got 600 resumes when I was hiring for that content writer role, a junior kind of a role with 2 to 3 years of experience. And then my HR said that Vaibhav, don't worry, why are you scanning all the 600 resumes? I'll give you the top 40-50 by using the ATS. And I said, no, I'll go through all of them by myself. And I spent a lot of time over 3 days, after office hours and all. And I went through all of them. So what did I see? How did I, kind of keep rejecting, select finally the 20 resumes? See, first of all, I was very clear what I wanted. I wanted someone with a finance background, someone who is proficient in writing, so relevant experience matters, finance background, educational qualifications matter, and then eventually probably look at their existing work. So in the system which we had, in the software which we had in our company, all the 600 plus resumes were kept there and I had to just click next, and then obviously select the accept, move to the next round or a reject button. So I started by obviously loading the resume and looking straight away their educational qualifications. Now it helped me if I could see the educational qualifications right in front of my eyes. I do not need to scroll down. It will be at the top, it will be in the side, so it should be kind of clearly visible. So once those who could make the cut of the educational qualification, the next thing I was looking was the work experience. Now in the work experience, if those people who did not kind of get the filtered out, I mean I rejected them, and those who could qualify, then next thing I looked was the bullet points, which I was talking about, that your bullet points need to be neat and one liner and all. If it was easy to read through the kind of bullet points, and someone who was making the cut moved to the next kind of filter in my mind, and that filter was to check whether that the work in the past they have done, and how to check if they have put in a Google Drive link or a LinkedIn profile, and kind of putting some posts on LinkedIn. So eventually, after doing all these filtering and all, I finally shortlisted almost around 20 odd people out of 600, of which 18 had put their LinkedIn profile or kind of a Google Drive. So it was too good to kind of understand their work even before shortlisting them for the interview. So having said that, see, putting your work on LinkedIn, making your LinkedIn profile look good is also very important these days from the recruiting point of view, from getting placed, because HRs generally, I've seen a lot of HRs actually using LinkedIn to kind of figure out candidates and all. So it's good to have your LinkedIn profile in place. As I said in the video as well previously, if you are interested into a personal branding kind of a session, I can create a video on it. You need to just kind of comment and like and share this video, and thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.